the August 3rd special meeting of the North Brookfield School Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by North Brookfield LPAC. And if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So welcome, everyone. We have first on our agenda is a reorganization of the school committee with some changes. The committee will go through its reorganization process that has typically happened in May. But so I will open the meeting and I will look for any nominations for chairperson.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Ron Rael for chair, please.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Right. Any other nominations? Hearing none, need a motion in order to close those nominations.
I'll move to close the nominations.
Canada, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? None? All in favor of closing nominations? 5-0. Great. This time, I will turn the meeting over to Chairperson Ryle.
We need election of vice chair, so I'll take nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Tim Canada for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Have a motion to close nominations?
I'll make a motion to close nominations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Great, thank you.
Need a nomination for secretary.
I'll nominate Christie to secretary.
Do we have a second? Second. Are there any other nominations? We have a motion to close the nominations.
I'll make a motion to close the nominations for secretary.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
All right, so just to Mr. Ryle, Chair, Mr. Canada, Vice Chair, Mr. Master, Secretary. Thank you.
So the first item under new business is the Director of Senior Services discussion and vote. I see Ms. Robert is not here yet.
She's in my office.
Oh, she's in your
Yeah,
office.
I
Do
asked
you
her to
want
wait for
to
us.
get her?
If you could
Please, thank
give
you.
me 2 minutes to run down and grab her.
Surprise reveal.
I gotta remember to say not Ms. Robert.
This is Robert, yeah.
It's a natural thing. We always throw an N on the end of that name. I don't know why. So
Massachusetts, we add and remove letters from the ends of words all the time.
I looked at it 3 times.
I'd invite you guys over to the house for like a barbecue or something, but we'd have to invite the whole town.
Do them one at a time. One-
Most colorful thing all the time. So this is Miss Anna Robert.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Did you?
So would you like to share with us a little bit of why you're interested in this role and transparency? I know we've all read your application, your resume, it's very impressive, but just for the folks at home, like get a little bit of an understanding of who you are and why you find this position interesting?
Sure, of course. So I have been in the field of social work and working in schools for over 20 years. And I love working with both children and families. And I'm at a point in my career where I want to take it to the next level. I mean, I've been doing school adjustment counseling for several years. But I want to take my knowledge and expertise farther. I want to expand it so I can reach more kids, more families, and even help more staff in terms of social emotional learning, support in special education, and I feel like I'm ready to take that. And I feel like this is a great place to do that. It's it's not a large district, so I like that there's the capacity to get to know all of the students and potentially all of the families as well, and to make some great connections in the community.
Anyone?
Some questions?
Yes. Anyone have questions?
Yeah, in regard to just a curious question, in regard to the team meeting, because now you would need to at times chair that. So it's a different role than being a participant. So I'm a school committee member here, but I'm a special ed teacher in another district. So there's a ebb and flow to a meeting, and our adjustment counselor, of course, when she writes the goals and provides the direct services, is there. So she's familiar with that, but the role as chair will shift. So how do you feel about that role?
So I'll be honest, I have never chaired, so I will have some learning curves in my position if I'm granted the position, and I welcome it. I feel like in my life, any job I've had, if there's ever something that I don't know, I tackle it and I learn it to the best of my ability. I will say that I have, and you are right, being a participant is not the same thing, absolutely. I will say that I have a good knowledge of special education, and I have observed many teams, whether in my former career or in my current role as a school adjustment counselor. And I feel that even though I might have a learning curve, that I could pick it up fairly quickly. And I'm not afraid to ask questions either. If I don't know something, I definitely will ask the people who will know to help support me along the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
How much, you spent a lot of time in Worcester, it seems.
Yes.
There's a big change coming out here versus being in Worcester.
Yes.
How much interaction did you have generally with parents during the planning process? You were doing a lot of the interventions and things like that. Was it something where you were really heavily involved with the parents, and how was your relationship with them?
So I interact with it in my current role as a school adjustment counselor in Worcester. I interact with parents every day. Sometimes it's planned for certain meetings or to talk with them about certain concerns that I might have to support them in terms of supporting their child. Or sometimes parents come in and they want to talk with me, or maybe they come in and they have a concern about their child, and the principal or assistant principal will ask me to step in and talk with them. I have in the past also done some groups with parents to try to provide some support in terms of social emotional support around how to help their children at home. I have also facilitated in Worcester, it's called student support teams. And so there's parents are required to be at those meetings where, if anyone in the school has a concern about a child, everyone comes together to have a meeting, and includes the parents. So And I've always made sure that, parents need to be part of the process too. I mean, schools are, obviously kids come here to learn, but without the parents or the guardians' support, it really, it's so much more fruitful for the child in the end. So I absolutely have had a lot of parent support.
Any other questions?
Chris Ekman, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I just had a question. I might be overlooking something. I don't have a background in special ed. On your application, it says that you have an emergency, like for the application type. What's left to like turn that over into something that's like a professional license or the equivalent, I guess?
Yes, so I actually did just hear from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education earlier this week that I need 75 hours in a like a role of a director, like in terms of whether it's an internship or whatnot, and then I will officially be able to have my
So
license.
doing this would satisfy that.
It would. It
About
would.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Right, right.
Or a week, the way things go.
It's like a practical of student teaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
The teaching
That's a
license and
great-
student teaching,
Yeah.
different licenses.
Yes, sir.
So just to answer Mr. Hickman's question, the emergency licenses were developed when the pandemic hit, and for the high need areas. And they're good through the end of this school year, through the end of the 22 school year. And just for the committee to know, I have reached out for this position for mentoring from I called Arnold Lunwall, who's the executive director of the Southern Worcester County Collaborative, who we're a member of. And Mr. Lunwall is going to reach out to his student services director to find a mentor. So that person would be able to, be the supervisor. Sometimes DESE requires signatures or whatever. That person will be able to provide that piece, but more importantly for Anna to be able to count on someone to be able to tap into their expertise and experience.
I wasn't questioning either. I know I'm a teacher and like some teachers get signed off on waivers and, you have to go take a test or you have to go take a course. So I was wondering what the other piece was. I would think the mentorship would be something we would probably.
Absolutely.
So I just have a question regarding that, because it does say that the expiration date is 6/30/2021.
When they were first issued, they were through the end of 21. The commissioner has come out and extended that through the end of 22.
Just want to make sure that
Yep. Absolutely.
we dot the i's, cross the t's. That's
You
all.
got it.
Yes.
Any other questions? What do you think would be the biggest challenge taking on this role? I mean, it's a different step, right? So you said you want to stretch and be, so what do you think the biggest challenge would be for you?
I think the biggest challenge will just be to honestly learn the ropes of what it is to be a director, and in terms of, being able to organize it all. So I like to be able to, although I'm looking for a challenge, I like to also know what I'm doing. And so I think it's going to be a little frustrating for me, for my own self in the beginning, to not know all the answers when someone comes to me and they're looking for something and I might have to say, let me find out about that. And I have no problem telling people that. I certainly don't want to give misinformation, but I think just for me personally, that's going to be a growing pain for me. But otherwise, I look forward to the challenge. So.
Again, no other questions? I'm going to monopolize time for a moment then. So then, for the folks who are listening to us on LPAC and so forth, for the parents who have children in special ed and so forth, could you just explain what you believe you're going to bring to the table for their children? It's a very important role, as Mr. Lind has told us time and time again, and as we all believe. Just a few minutes worth of what do you think the children's, how the children are going to end up on you being in this role?
So I think that, first of all, I am very passionate about working with children and families. And I think that that's really important. I can't imagine working in school period without having passion for, work with this population. I also have a lot of years of experience working with kids at all different levels, all from kindergarten all the way up through high school, kids that come from all different backgrounds, and kids that, regular education students that might struggle at times, and special education students as well. I think that I have a lot of knowledge, but I also think that I know that sometimes it's about going in and developing the relationship with the student in the classroom, and also to develop relationships with the teachers to know, what's going on for them and how they're working to support the students and, to support them in that role as well, because when you support the staff, it trickles down to the child as well. And so I also think that, supporting the team, I understand that, there's a school adjustment counselor, school psychologist, and BCBA, ABA, I think. So, utilizing all of those really critical supports to help these children that are receiving special education is really, really critical as well. And also to be aware of what's going on, in terms of special education. Like, what are the current trends? What are certain things that are effective, are not necessarily as effective, and helping to bring that into the classroom and to support the kids, and also to provide information to parents as well about different services and supports. Those are just some of the things.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion to authorize Mr. Lynn to extend an offer to Ms. Robert for the role of Director of Student Services.
I'll make that motion to have Mr. Lind extend an offer.
Any second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Obviously none. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you as well.
Look forward to working with you.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chair, we do have another agenda
Yes, we do.
item, and there is a executive session on this. I don't know which order you would like to.
Next in an open session, then we'll go to executive session.
Okay. So
She's welcome to stay.
you're welcome to stay.
Next session or
And
next.
go back to my office area if you want, if you're more comfortable there. It's up to you.
The next discussion item is discussion.
If you stay, you're welcome to sit in the
Yeah,
chair to the
it's okay.
side.
You don't have to sit up front.
So the next item on the agenda is discussion regarding half-day after-school care, and I believe that this was an item added by Ms. Amasta. So Ms. Amasta, if you would like to give us your explanation of what this item is.
And I will probably always have an item, so I've got like a lot of thoughts. So
Okay.
this one deals directly, so as a parent, the half days, so I'm a working parent, as many families are, and my daughter attends the after-school program, which is a program that I pay for. And but what happens on any half day is the program is not available and she's bused home, but I don't have anyone to take her off the bus because I am working. And so what I'm looking for is a thought process or a discussion of, and I have some ideas of how to extend that paid, I will pay for that service as well as the other parents on the half days, because I need care every single day after school. So my thoughts were, we need someone who was Corey checked, and someone who knows the students, because I'm gonna pick her up, there could be a large amount of students, and, anytime you work with a group of students, you want somebody that's familiar with them and that there's a safety factor. So perhaps there's a substitute teacher that is known to the district, because what happens is the staff that runs the program can't extend themselves that day because they're participating in the professional development. These are professional development days. So I said, all right, well, who isn't attending the professional development? So those would be substitute teachers if you have a list. They're at a premium now, I know. Or a retired teacher. Maybe there's someone in the community that fits those bills and you could have a small list. I just know that what happened on a half day is my child could not come to school because I had no one to take her off of the bus. And that is a problem, particularly once we opened, although North Brookfield was hybrid the whole time. My district was different, so I get that confused. So I was looking to bring it up and to see if anybody had some solutions to as a mom to help me with that.
Mr. Lynn?
So you're correct. Our staff this program, and it's sometimes difficult to get people, for a long day to stay the extra couple of hours. We actually had this conversation, I want to say a year ago with Mrs. Priestley. And we did brainstorm some of the same things. I think we certainly can look.
Mhm.
I think it's a great idea. It's just finding people
Yeah.
right now to fill those roles. We do have a small list of substitutes, and right now, out of the 3 or so people who regularly come in, I know 2 of them are parents. So I don't know if they would be,
Yeah. Sure.
their child can stay free and they can, work, kind of thing, but.
I have a question, and this is probably more for Mr. Lind, but is it something where older high school kids could possibly get community service time or something like that if they were to sign up for something like this? If we had, we'd still need an adult,
We need at least
but-
one adult.
but then you could
Yeah.
have, then you're not regulated by the number of kids necessarily.
Right.
I mean,
We try to limit it to, once we get to 20 kids, we add staff. So one person up to 20 kids, and then 2 for,
Mhm.
and that's how we've broken it out. But if we had high school kids, even on the regular days, that would be wonderful.
we've had previous conversations about community service within the actual community, and I think that'd be a good way, get them to sign off a couple hours and.
Well, it serves 2 purposes. It
Yep.
helps the community both ways.
Well, we only have 3 or 4 half days too.
Yeah.
They're hard for you. I'm
Yeah.
not. downplaying
Oh,
it.
every time they were coming, I
But
would
it's
be
not
like, oh,
we
no.
would be asking a high school kid to
That's
Right.
right.
commit 2 days a week
That's
for
right.
40 weeks.
Right.
We're
Right,
talking
it is
about
through the space of the calendar. year.
particularly the half days, they get that
Technically,
extra
2 full days.
couple of hands, eyes and ears,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
Right, so 2 full days is what they said. So then 4 half days is 2 full days.
I have a couple things. Do you know how many kids roughly it might be?
So on a regular after school day, school gets out at 2:30, it's somewhere between 20 and 30 on a pretty regular basis. Last year was a little different.
And
Yeah.
that's something
Obviously.
that kids, the adults or the parents pay for.
Yeah.
So you could use that money to pay.
So you.
That's how it's a self-sustaining program, absolutely.
I think you'd find volunteers in the community that would be willing to help out if it's only 4 days too. I understand there's a Cory check and stuff like that involved, but
I mean, we'd pay them, it's not a lot, but.
I'm sorry, go on, please.
the only other comment that I had is like, Tim brought up the idea of having high school kids come. I think it might be a cool opportunity too, to have like a tutoring program where like they can help the kids if they have work to do and stuff like that. So I like the idea of that.
That's great.
So since we have not opened school yet, is this something that you could add into the packet for the students to take home to their parents, ask them if they would be interested in such a program?
Yeah, I mean, I can
Half a day, just to-
email the parents directly.
Or whichever, just to see what the interest level would be, because I think that would be important to know.
Kind of if after school care was offered on the half
Half
days,
days.
dismissal here
With
is at
With
11:30.
the cost,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
include that in there with the cost, how many parents would be interested in taking part in that opportunity? Just so we have an understanding how much, I mean, if 5 people are interested, not that I don't want to dismissify people's interest. But if there's 5 people that are interested in one.
I know of at least one.
Right, so.
It's a hardship, yeah.
No, and I understand that. I'm just saying if it was.
So how long would we have until the first day is October? Or is there, okay,
First half day is in October.
So if you can, I mean, I don't know how fast you can send that out, and how fast you can get a response back, but if you can get a response back for our August meeting,
Yeah.
that might give us some ability to have a discussion. Does that seem?
because part of the issue is that first half day is tied in with the Columbus Day weekend and like people, you can't
You
take
can't take the day because of the holiday, right?
and, so that was just another thing. So that sounds, I mean, maybe I am the only one, maybe I'm not, maybe there's families looking, maybe I just always think that there's someone else in my
Sure.
boat.
I mean, Mr. Master, I've heard it before. People struggle. They're working. Life is hard, and finding childcare at 11:30 in the afternoon or morning is hard for working parents. You're not the only one who's ever brought that up.
Okay.
Mr. Lynn, does that give you enough time to get that
Oh,
out
gosh.
back?
I can get that going in the next day or two. Send out a quick survey saying, had a discussion about obviously providing some after-school care on the half days. Please check here if you might be interested in participation. Just trying to get a sense of where people and how many people would take advantage of it or not.
Do we have any other new business? Yes, sir.
I did provide the committee with the most recent guidance from the Department of Education. I know it wasn't on the agenda, but just I know people at home, parents have concerns about the various guidelines. At this point, there is no mask mandate from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It's all suggestions at this point. But we still have 3 weeks until school kicks in, and one of the things that they've been pretty adamant about is to make sure you're flexible and to be able to adapt and adjust quickly. So that is available to the public. It is on the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website. It's all of the news, the guidance that has come out regarding masks and physical distancing and other mitigation strategies around the pandemic. So we are not, the school committee ultimately has the responsibility and obligation under the current guidelines from the state at a local level. The last vote of the school committee was to remove masks. So right now we are not a masked community. I think the school committee, as always, will look at the data, connect with the Board of Health and others that can provide us with the right recommendations, but ultimately the school committee will have to make that final decision. Sorry, I know that's a challenging thing because obviously there are people on both sides, and but that is for your benefit, and I certainly can get that out to the community as well when it is very available for anybody if they're looking for it. Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Then I would accept the motion to go into executive session for the purposes of negotiation with non-union personnel, to return to open session solely for the purpose of closing the open session.
I'll move that we go into executive session to conduct discussions on negotiations and reconvene only to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? It's a roll call vote, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr.
Tim?
Lina?
Yes?
Mr. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Rowley, yes? Mr. Rayner?
Yes.
Mr. Eckman, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Do I take notes for this?